In 1428, Shaiban usurped the throne with an iron fist. 40 years of tyranny triggered resistance from various tribes. In 1457, his army suffered a crushing defeat in the battle against the Oirats in the east, exacerbating internal divisions. Kerei and Zhanibek, the legitimate heirs of the Urus Khan, led the nomadic tribes to migrate to Mogolistan to seek a new life. Zhanibek's sister Jahanbek and Shaiban Shah's daughter-in-law Akozi, their children Qasim and Shah Muhammad. To avoid this situation of brothers killing each other, the two mothers tearfully made the children take a solemn oath never to turn swords against one another. At the same time, the Kazakhs, led by the wise man Ezen-Kaigi, embarked on a journey to find the Zhetysu, Seven Rivers region. The warrior Kyobalandi Batyr, dissatisfied with Shaiban Shah's tyranny, determined to defect and join the exiled column. After an arduous migration, Kerei and Zhanibek reached an agreement with the Mogolistan Khan Esenbuga to establish a new ulus in the Seven Rivers region. As news spread, various tribes joined one after another, swelling their ranks. Shaiban Shah sent his grandson Shah Muhammad to pursue the rebellious Alshan tribe, but Rabia sent a warning to the Kazakhs in advance. She grew up with Zhanibek, and this deep affection made her unable to sit idly by while the Kazakhs were in danger. The Alshan tribe, led by Kastigan, despite receiving the warning, still walked into Shah Muhammad's ambush. In the critical moment, young Qasim and Burindik arrived in time, bravely joining the battle and engaging in fierce combat with Shah Muhammad's army. However, Dasman Sultan actually murdered his own father Ezenbuga and usurped the throne. After taking power, Khan Dasman Sultan immediately tore up the peace agreement signed with Kerei and Zhanibek. Shortly after, the White Horde was rebuilt under the name Kazakh Khanate. Urus Khan's descendant Kerey was elected as the first Khan, shouldering the mission of national rejuvenation. The nomadic people who had been displaced under Shaiban Shah's tyranny crossed 6 high mountains and endured years of hardship, finally re-erecting the White Horde in a fertile land and raising the banner of freedom and peace. The Kazakhs believed that an era of peace and prosperity had arrived. The newly established Kazakh camp was full of vitality. People were busy setting up tents. Kidani patrolled the camp and said to the people of the Alshan tribe, "You trekked over mountains and rivers from the Volga River to the Seven Rivers. Welcome." The Alshan people responded humbly, "Thank you for your blessing." The wise Hassan once said this is a fertile land, but the Seven Rivers region is not as beautiful as the Volga River, just as Kastigan sang in his song. She introduced herself, saying she was from the Koja tribe. Her words were full of respect for Qasim and Burindik, believing they facilitated the acquaintance of the two tribes. In a corner of the camp, however, the conversation between Qasim and Burindik was filled with the scent of gunpowder. Qasim mocked Burindik for having no thoughts other than fighting and killing, while Burindik firmly believed that mercy to the enemy would only invite death. He even picked up a dagger and feigned an attack on Qasim to emphasize the law of survival in troubled times. However, the peaceful days did not last long. After Khan Dasman Sultan tore up the agreement, he became increasingly brazen.
Не дейді?
Бұрындық жақ құда түспек таяуды.
Ұзағынан сендірсін.
Әумин.
Once, his general Jangi provoked the border and even insulted Kerey and Zhanibek.
Sarbazlar, say bolayık.
Тоқтаңдар. Ажалға ұлдарын айдап салып, өздері үйлерінде тығылып қалған ғой шамасы. Су жүректер.
Әкелерімізге тіл тигізген үшін басыңды шау болам.
Hot-blooded Qasim could not swallow this insult. He started a duel with Jangi on the spot. And with a few swift strikes, he severed his head. This really stirred up a hornet's nest. Khan Dasman Sultan flew into a rage. They went to offer condolences for his father, but Qasim and Burindik were deliberately given a hard time and told they had arrived late. Qasim argued strongly on just grounds, pointing out that it was Dasman Sultan who tore up the agreement first and was disrespectful to the ancestors. Dasman Sultan flew into a rage out of shame and actually detained Burindik, who had come to negotiate, holding him as a hostage. In Shaiban Shah's palace, he discussed the children's education with his beloved concubine Rabia. He hoped to send the children to Samarkand to receive the best education when they grew up, believing that the Khan's bloodline deserved the best cultivation. However, he was worried about the different ideas of his eldest wife, thinking she would resolutely oppose it. Rabia knew deeply the eldest wife's hatred for her, thinking she would seize every opportunity to frame her. Shaibansha sighed helplessly that commanding 92 tribes was easier than coordinating these 4 women, and even joked about sending the eldest wife back to her maiden home. Rabia affectionately expressed her love to Shaibansha, while Shaibansha was full of confidence regarding the upcoming war. However, Qasim encountered a group seeking revenge for Jhangi while marching.
Kim bolasın?
Қазақ сұлтаны Қасыммын.
Өстемір тайшының бұйрығымен зеңгіні өлтіргенің үшін тұтқынға алынасың.
Unfortunately, they were captured. Just then, General Kobalandi Bator stepped forward.
Тоқтаңдар. Қане босатма қазақтарды.
He engaged in a duel with the Oyrat Baradai to defend the dignity of the Kazakhs. Baradai boasted that 40 enemy heads have been hung on the saddle, and vowed to make Kobalandi Bator the 41st. In the end, Kobalandi Bator defeated Baradai with extraordinary martial skills, successfully rescued the Kazakh captives, and once again proved his loyalty and bravery. When learning that Berindik was detained as a hostage by Khan Dasman Sultan, Kobalandi Bator was furious, thinking Khan Dasman Sultan was extremely shameless. General Kobalandi Bator said goodbye to Qasim and the others. He stated that the day of revenge against Shaibansha would eventually come, and he would not back down. The elders of the Kipchak tribe had already apologized to the Argan tribe on his behalf, and the Argan tribe no longer blamed him. Although Qasim invited him to join the Kazakhs, Kobalandi Bator was determined to continue his exile. He believed they would eventually meet again. Inside the city of Signak, there was mirth and song. Performers shouted loudly, attracting residents to watch the puppeteers and clowns, promising to make everyone laugh until they couldn't close their mouths. They told a story about a tyrannical king and a queen with a heart of vipers. This story seemed to be an allusion to Shaibansha and his queen. The performers used bold satire to tell a story of a tyrant having a useless grandson who dreamed of sitting on the throne all day, and the tyrant spoiled this grandson very much, alluding to Shah Muhammad. This foolish grandson finally ascended the throne, but killed his brothers for the crown, and was finally defeated and forced to flee. Shah Muhammad, who was watching from the sidelines, heard this and ordered the whipping of these artists who mocked the Khan.
Ей малғұн, хан иемді мазақ қылатын кімсің сен соншама? Шық бұрт, мынау кәззапты.
Elsewhere, people with ulterior motives instigated Berendiki, inducing him to take his father's Khan position and even promised to help him seize the throne. Berindik remained unmoved. He knew well that the Kazakh people would elect their own Khan. His father was highly respected, and no one could drive him off the throne. He thought the other party's understanding of power was too short-sighted. However, a subordinate beside Dasman Sultan informed against him, saying someone framed him for killing his own father. Osman admitted his crime and begged Dasman Sultan to kill him. Dasman Sultan said coldly that since he begged for death, he would grant his wish. Just then, Dasman Sultan's uncle, Urus Khan, learned of his evil deed of patricide and usurpation. Furious, he immediately raised an army to launch a punitive expedition. Urus Khan swiftly killed Dasman Sultan and became the new Khan of Mogolistan himself. After hearing the news, Shaibansha thought this was an excellent opportunity to weaken the Kazakhs. He pretended to attack Urgench, while secretly massing heavy troops to launch a surprise attack on Urus Khan, who was allied with the Kazakhs. He thought his scheme was flawless, but he didn't know that Kerei and Zhanibek had already seen through his trick. The two sultans beat him at his own game, ostensibly believing that Shaiban Shah was going to attack Urgench, but secretly, taking advantage of his undefended rear, they unexpectedly occupied Suzak and Yasi, two key towns belonging to Shaiban Shah.
1469 жылы Көк Орда билеушісі Abulkhair хан ауыр қолмен Mogolistan аттанды. Жойқын жорықтың мақсаты Қазақ ордасын жер бетінен жойып жіберу еді. Алайда Abulkhair әскерінің алдын шұғыл орап үлгерген қазақ қосындары Көк Ордаға тұтқиыл соққы жасап, Шайбан иелігіндегі Созақ пен Яссы қалаларын басып алды.
When Shaiban Shah learned that the rear was lost, he was fuming with rage. He immediately turned his spearhead around, preparing to fight to the death with the Kazakh Khanate. The war was on the verge of breaking out. Dark clouds covered the grassland, as if even the heavens were weeping for this fratricidal war. In front of the two armies, the morale of Shaiban Shah's army was low. They were originally Kazakh compatriots born from the same root, but now they had to turn swords against each other. Just then, the highly respected wise man Asan Kagi came to the front alone to persuade Shaiban Shah to turn back. But Shaiban Shah, whose eyes were already blinded by the desire for power, could not listen to reason. He angrily denounced Asan Kagi as a crazy old man and insisted on starting the war. Khan Kerey knew well that this war concerned the survival of the nation. He sent letters for help to all tribes in the Seven Rivers region, asking them to send troops for support to fight against the tyrant together. He also wrote to the new Khan Urus Khan, asking him to release the hostage Berindik. Urus Khan kept his promise, not only releasing Berindik, but also sending troops for support. For a time, under the banner of the Kazakh Khanate, warriors from all over the grassland gathered. The horn of the decisive battle finally sounded. However, the war did not progress smoothly. The soldiers had low morale and were demoralized. Going to the battlefield was like marching to an execution. Shaiban Shah even lamented that it would be great if Kobalandi Batir could lead the army. Just then, Costigan appeared in front of the two armies. He rode on a horse, held a musical instrument, and chanted loudly, persuading the two armies not to kill each other. He questioned Shaiban Shah. Where are the days of fighting side by side in the past? He bitterly attacked Shaiban Shah's tyranny and persuaded the soldiers, keep your precious swords in their scabbards. How can brothers kill each other? He sang, everyone troubled by worries. Listen to Costigan's advice. The tyrant Shaiban Shah wants us to kill our brothers. Kazakhs never kill each other. The Khan used tricks to deceive Kobalandi Bator into committing crimes. We shout Alash loudly. We are brothers of the Kazakh bloodline. Costigan's singing voice, like sunlight penetrating the mist, shook the morale of Shaiban Shah's army. Seeing the soldiers wavering, Shah Muhammad urgently urged Shaiban Shah to attack, even proposing to be the vanguard himself. But Shaiban Shah was immersed in Costigan's singing and could not issue orders. However, in Shaiban Shah's camp, the appearance of General Kobalandi Batir changed the tide of war again. He actually joined the Kazakh army. This shocked Shah Muhammad endlessly. The former god of war had defected, and Shaiban Shah's soldiers completely lost the desire to fight. Shaiban Shah's grandson Shah Muhammad, in order to restore morale, rushed out to the front and challenged Qasim to a duel by name. Qasim was fearless and rode to meet the challenge. The two were cousins connected by blood, but at this moment they had to engage in a life-and-death duel. Their mothers had made them swear never to turn swords against each other, but a twist of fate had brought them to this point. After a fierce battle, Qasim defeated Shah Muhammad with superb martial arts. However, just when he was about to end his opponent's life, he remembered his mother's plea and the oath he once took, and finally spared Shah Muhammad's life. But just as the duel ended and the war was about to break out fully, an accident that no one expected occurred. The tyrant Shaiban Shah, due to years of campaigning and sudden rage attacking his heart, actually succumbed to sudden death on his own throne. The commander was dead, and the army collapsed instantly. And the Kazakh Khanate won this decisive victory without losing a single soldier. Shaiban Shah's funeral was held in Yasi, Turkestan, solemn and respectful. Zhanibek prayed at the funeral, begging the true God to pardon the crimes committed by Shaiban Shah during his lifetime and let his soul rest in peace. After the funeral, Ibak Khan decided to leave, telling them to decide on a successor as soon as possible. Shah Muhammad felt resentful about the departure of Ibak Khan and Musa, thinking they were traitors who gave the victory to the Kazakhs for nothing. He bitterly scolded Haidar for not holding his position, thinking it was wrong for him to save the army's lives. Haidar retorted that war was a senseless sacrifice, and the soldiers didn't want to fight at all. Shah Muhammad and the Queen believed that the real enemy was within them, and someone had reported secretly to the Kazakhs. At this time, a spy reported that Yamo and Musa had arrived with troops, and Shamanka's army had also left the town, leaving only Shah Muhammad and Haidar in Signak city. The spy reported to Kerei and Zhanibek that Signak city had no defensive forces, making it an excellent time to recover the city. Kerei and Zhanibek decided to assemble the army immediately to attack Signak city.
Олай болса, жорығымыз оң болсын. Тәңір жарымыз.
Inside Signak city, under the witness of elders, Shah Muhammad demanded Rabia walk barefoot over red-hot coals to prove her innocence. He saw with his own eyes that Rabia once released a falcon to send a message to Zhanibek. Although Osman denied it vigorously, Shah Muhammad insisted on cutting off Osman's tongue regardless of everything, watching him die with his own eyes. The Kazakh army arrived at the walls of Signak. Qasim and Berindik were ordered to cut off the water source to the city and intercept caravans entering and leaving, but never to harm innocent civilians. On the city wall, Shah Muhammad ordered the soldiers to stand up for defense. The queen foresaw disaster in the city. She begged Haidar to sneak out and seek refuge with her maiden family. However, Shah Muhammad went his own way, pushed the soldiers aside, and insisted that he could hold the town alone, unwilling to fail his Khan grandfather's expectations. Haidar and the queen finally decided that only death could separate them. Haidar promised that wherever he was, he would revive the family banner. The Kazakh army launched an attack on Signak city. Shah Muhammad brought Rabia and her children to the city wall to threaten the Kazakh army. Under the city wall, some common people tried to open the city gate, but Shah Muhammad ordered that if anyone dared to open the door, their fate would be like that of the shot civilian. In the end, with the help of the common people, the Kazakh army successfully broke into Signak city. Shah Muhammad fought fiercely with Qasim and Berindik in the city. He accused Qasim of destroying the legacy left by his ancestors and stealing his towns and grasslands. Qasim reminded him that their mothers had made them swear never to turn swords against each other. Shah Muhammad finally escaped, and Qasim regretted it too late. Khan Kerey was seriously injured during the siege and finally fell beside the throne. Before dying, he entrusted the future of the Kazakh Khanate and the throne to Zhanibek, hoping he could lead the Kazakh people to prosperity. He exhorted Zhanibek to inherit his dying wish and benefit the people. Zhanibek was grief-stricken and promised the departed Khan Kerey that he would dedicate the rest of his life to the Kazakh people.
Қайтайын алып келгенше қош Signak. Қайтайын алып келмесем, маған серт.
Signak city was formally liberated from tyranny. Zhanibek ordered the release of all prisoners in the jail, stopped human trafficking, and sent guards to protect caravans. Rabia was rescued by Zhanibek, and she begged Zhanibek to find her children. Rabia decided to leave with brother Yamo, heading to Turkestan and Samarkand to pursue the wisdom of the Prophet Ahmed Yasawi and serve the true God. She had no attachment to the secular world, believing that the future of the Kazakhs would belong to the era of grassland warriors. Finally, Zhanibek formally ascended the throne as Khan. He gave a speech to the people on the high platform, reviewing the arduous journey of how the Kazakhs overcame obstacles in suffering and despair, and finally built the Kazakh Khanate. He promised to wholeheartedly inherit Khan Kerey's legacy, benefit the people, and lead the children of Alash to freedom and prosperity. The descendants of the Golden Horde established the first Kazakh state. The Kazakh Khanate was founded in 1465 AD and lasted for 382 years until 1847 AD. Amidst the cheers of the people, Burindiku and Kidani formally became husband and wife under the witness of holy water and the true God. Everyone sent blessings to this new couple, wishing them to be of one mind forever, happy all their lives, and to have a bright future ahead.